Severe depression eased by single dose of synthetic magic mushroom. CNN. A single dose of the synthetic version of the mild altering component of magic mushrooms, psilocybin, improved the depression in people with a treatment-resistant form of the disease, a new study found. The randomized double-blind clinical trial, which authors called the largest of its kind, compared the result of the 25 milligram dose to the 10 milligram and the 1 milligram dose of the synthetic psilocybin, COMP 360, that was administered in the presence of a trained therapist. Result of the study, published Wednesday in the New England Journal of Medicine, found an immediate, fast, rapid acting, sustained response to 25 milligram of COMP 360, said study co-author Dr. Guy Goodwin, a professor emeritus of psychiatry at the University of Oxford in the United Kingdom. This drug can be extracted from magic mushrooms, but that is not the way our compound is generated. It's synthesized in the purely chemical process to produce the critical crystalline form, said Goodwin, who is the chief medical officer of CO and Pathway, the company that manufactures COMP 360 and conducted the study. Experts in the field found the study findings promising. They clearly found a dose effect and clinically meaningful improvement in just 2 weeks. 3 weeks, said Dr. Matthew Johnson, a professor in psychiatrics and consciousness at Johns Hopkins Medicine in Baltimore. He is not involved in the new study. If you were in the 25 milligram group, you were nearly 3 times as likely to respond that if you were in the 1 milligram group, said Johnson, who co-authored safety guidelines for psychiatric research in 2008. The rapid response to treatment was notable as well. The maximum effect was seen the day after receiving the treatment. This contrast with standard antidepressant, which take several weeks to reach maximum effect, said Dr. Anthony Clare, a professor of psychopharmacology and affective disorders at King's College London, in the statement. He was not involved in the study. However, there are a number of issues that need further study before this drug would be available for clinical use, experts said. The effect did start to wear off by 3 months, and we need to know how best to prevent the depression returning, Claire said, adding that not enough is yet known about potential side effects, while the safety profile seems to increasing overall. Great care is obviously needed when using psychoactive substances such as psilocybin. Larger studies are on the way that we hope will help answer these issues, he said. Benefits faded. The clinical trial occurred at 23 sites in the United States, Canada, the UK, and 7 countries in Europe. The study was designed to test the safety of different dosage of, of the proprietary version of psilocybin. The 233 study participants had treatment resistant depression, which can only be diagnosed after a person failed to respond to 2 courses of antidepressant. Of the 9 million people in the US with medically treated depression, 3 million patients are resistant to treatment, studies have estimated. Globally, some 100 million people have treatment resistant depression, Goodwin said. People with the condition are at the high risk of physical illness, disability, hospitalization, and suicide, the study said. Any study participants on antidepressants were required to wean themselves from those medications prior to the start of the trial. Psychiatric treatment doesn't work on the people who are actively taking antidepressant. The receptors where psychedelics attach in the brain are already flooded with serotonin from their current mood altering drugs. Participants were requested to remain off antidepressant treatment during the first 3 weeks after the trial drug administration. However, these medications could be started at any time during the trial if deemed clinically necessary by the physician investigator, the study said. Depression levels were documented the day after the trip and another 5 times over the 12 weeks period. However, about 37% of people who took the 25 milligram dose showed improvement. In fact, 29% were considered to be in remission in week 3, the study found. By week 12, however, the positive impact on depressive symptoms had waned and no longer reached the level of statistical significance, the study found. The incidence of sustained response at week 12 was 20% in the 25 milligram group, 5% in the 10 milligram group, and 10% in 1 milligram group, wrote psychobiologist Dr. Betha Madras, director of the Laboratory of Addiction Neurobiology at Harvard Medical School's McLean Hospital in Belmont, Massachusetts, in an accompanying editorial. He did not participate in the study. This is not a spectacle response rate for the psychiatric treatment, and we would only expect this to worsen over the longer follow-up period, said Dr. Ravi Das, Associate Professor of Educational Psychology, Research Method, and Statistics at University College London via email. He who was not involved with the study. In addition, there were an uneven number of severely depressed patients in each group, with significantly fewer severely depressed people in upfront effective 25 milligram dose group, Das said in a statement. This does not appear to be acknowledged in the paper. Safety profile: headache, nausea, fatigue, and dizziness plagued 77% of the study participants and occurred at all dosage levels, which experts say is a typical response on a day of psilocybin administration. A small number of people in all three dosage groups experienced suicidal thought or injured themselves by the 12-week follow-up period, the study found. Within the first 3 weeks alone, the two people in the 25 milligram group thought about suicide and two intentionally injured themselves. Two people in the 10 milligram group were suicidal, one self-injured, and one was hospitalized for severe depression, the study reported. Those behaviors are common in treatment-resistant depression studies. Most cases occurred more than a week after the COMP 360 psilocybin session, the company said. Remember that this is in people who were assessed not to be at significant risk of suicide when they entered the trial. The numbers were fairly small, but this is something that will need to be taken carefully into account in any later stage trials, said Kevin McConway, professor emeritus, emeritus of applied statistics at the Open University at British Public Research University. The study results are promising, but many questions remain, and it's unknown if this drug would be successful for different types of depression, said McConway, who was not involved in the study. They can't tell us how effective this psilocybin plus therapy treatment is in comparison with other existing drug or non-drug treatment for depression, said McConway, noting that as the next step for follow-up trials,